Good afternoon. Please rise for the invocation. Oh God, we thank you for this beautiful day, the beginning of a great journey for our new students. Help them to apply themselves to their educational pursuits and to the duties of the profession of medicine so that their labor may benefit mankind. Inspire them to love both the art and the science of medicine and to comprehend them both well. May they never see in a patient anything but a fellow human in pain. May they never develop in themselves the notion that their educational journey will be complete, but grant them the zeal and the strength to continually increase their knowledge. May your abiding presence uphold us all as we instruct, guide, and support them. Amen. Please be seated.
Hello and welcome. I'm Sam McCown, President-elect of the MUSC College of Medicine Alumni Board. When I talk to audiences, I like to get their participation so I don't bore them too much. I've been to other talks where people start snoring when someone's talking. I don't want anyone to ever have that much somnolence when I'm speaking. So I'm going to ask a few of you to stand up or raise your hand during this. So for starters, this question is for the students only, not the guest. How many of you have heard medicine is not what it used to be? How about stand up for me? Everybody's all spread out. As I would expect, a vast majority have. All right, you can sit down. Thank you. So we've heard it's not like it used to be. It was different for us. Other physicians tell me, oh, it's not the same for them as it was for us. Of course, all the older physicians think they had a lot tougher than the young people do, but it's not true. Medicine has changed a lot, but it's always changing. It's still a career of lifelong hard work that's emotionally and intellectually rewarding as well as financially rewarding. Every day you practice medicine just like it's always been. You'll learn something new no matter how experienced you are. You'll probably have higher highs and lower lows than a lot of your friends. Some people would say that you that have been accepted in medical school are the cream of the crop. But if you're like me, you might be thinking, clearly they made a mistake picking you or somehow you tricked the system to get in. But you're all sacrificing a lot, no matter how talented you are, by choosing the path that you have. I think my life underwent more change during my time in med school and residency than any other time in my life. When I got out kind of on the other end of the tunnel, I realized my friends had moved on. They had careers and families long before I did, and it'll probably be the same way for you. Except for myself, a lot of my friends got gray hair more quickly. That's something you have to look forward to. But to demonstrate another change that you'll be going through, let's talk genetics for a minute. I know it's probably your favorite subject. No good talk on medicine is worthwhile without quoting Aristotle, right? So in the 4th century BC, Aristotle observed a phenomenon where people would be in a dark room and they would go outside and see the sunlight and they sneeze. A lot of us do that now. We go into a dark theater, we come out on a sunny day and we sneeze. Of course, in medicine, we make even the easy stuff difficult. So the medical term for that is autosomal dominant compelling helio-ophthalmologic syndrome. More simply, the photic sneeze reflex. If you think about it, the acronym for autosomal dominant compelling helio-ophthalmologic syndrome is ACHOO syndrome, which is quite appropriate. I like to call it a reflex because no one ever likes to admit they have a syndrome. So again, for the medical students only, how about stand up if you have the ACHOO reflex? Yeah, get a lot of honest people. No, stay standing for a second. So I want the other students to look around. It's normally about 25% of the population. So this is about what percent of you will have kids during med school and residency. Okay. Y'all can sit down. I think we should have had a few more people standing than that. But next, if you have brown eyes, stand up, of the medical students. I was hoping you'd be seated together as a group. So now if you're 6'2" or over, sit down. Yeah, again, we're a little on the low side here, but about 50% of you will get married during med school and residency, and another big life changer. You can sit down now. Be careful when you do, because doctors, even when correlated for stress compared to other occupations, have a higher divorce rate. But 100% of you, some of you have already chosen a medical specialty, you think, but like a lot of you will change your minds. But 100% of you will pick the medical specialty, which will affect what you do for the rest of your life. So I want everyone, guests and family members as well, to think for a moment who they think the most dominant athlete of the last 100 years was. I'll just pause while you think about the most dominant, or you can say the most popular, most famous, whatever you want, of the last 100 years. Keep that name in your head. I know a lot of you probably thought maybe LeBron or Jordan or Tom Brady. Probably some soccer fans out there saying Messi. Of the students, Stand of Pelé was one of your picks. We got, I think, 2 picked Pelé. That's interesting. So now the students stand if you can tell me who Pelé is. Okay, good. Now, of the guests here, y'all can sit down. Of the guests here, tell me how many of you, just raise your hand if you know who Pelé is. So if you look around, normally it's the older crowd that recognizes who Pelé is. So Pelé was a soccer player. The Olympic Committee and other worldwide organizations named him the greatest athlete of the 20th century. For those that aren't familiar, the World Cup is played once every 4 years between all the participating nations, and it's hard to get into it and even harder to win it. And by the time Pelé was a teenager, he had more World Cup Finals goals than any top 3 players you named today. So if you're a soccer fan, think of Messi, Ronaldo, and one other player. And Pelé, while he was a teenager, had more goals in World Cup Finals than the 3 of them put together. More World Cup victories than all of them combined. When Nigeria was having a civil war, he went there on his team for just an exhibition game, and both sides of the war decided to take a 48-hour ceasefire because they all wanted to watch him. In the 1950s, which was only roughly 10 years after World War II ended, more people throughout the world knew who he was than Adolf Hitler. So now imagine you're in a football stadium that seats 100,000 people, like Pelé played in. And think about it for a second. I wish we were in a bigger room so you could visualize this. But that's how many patients you're going to have a life-changing impact on throughout your lifetime. Some of you will see that many patients in just a decade. You'll safely deliver babies. You'll help a child heal and survive to adulthood. You'll diagnose and treat cancer, trauma, infection, and a host of other illnesses. Pelé might have entertained millions of people, but of whatever athlete you thought of, whether it was Pelé or someone else, you'll have a longer lasting on humanity through the lives that you save than any athlete will. Med school was rigorous, but one of the things I liked about it compared to college was everybody walked to the beat of their own drum. Most of you are an amazing person in your own right. In med school, you'll learn all kinds of interesting things. You'll learn how to talk about inappropriate things like blood and guts casually over a meal with your friends. You just have to remember, try not to do that at home. After a few years of med school, your non-medical friends will start asking you medical questions. They'll ask you questions that you'll hear the question, you'll think, any doctor should know that, and you'll realize you have no clue the answer to that question. But at least you can come up with some medical trivia to impress your friends, like a CHU syndrome. So my advice is you're going to be around great teachers and leaders like I was throughout this wonderful institution that you get trained in. You'll make a lot of wonderful friends. Don't be intimidated. Always ask the questions that need to be asked. Don't fear the dumb questions. And question everything. Look for a better way to do things. You'll improve medicine throughout from your own practice and the practice of others if you're always challenging what you're taught and learning more. One problem with competitive classes, medical classes and otherwise these days, is there's too many gunners. I said that to my daughter the other day who's in college, and she didn't know what a gunner was, but we use that term commonly when I was in school. It's someone that hoards knowledge, that gets the old notes that are really good, helpful to prepare, someone that's learned something but doesn't want to teach someone else because they want to be sure they have an edge over everyone else. Bill Russell, that passed away recently, you probably heard about it, won 11 NBA titles. But when I was reading about him, it was very interesting because he never was the high scorer on his team, although he was always considered the most valuable player. He said to him, the most important measure to how good a game he played was how much better he made his teammates play. So don't be like politicians of today. Don't be like a gunner. Be like Bill Russell. Medicine's a team effort, and you're training to be the team leader. So start now throughout med school and try to make everyone better around you. You've received your stethoscope. Later today, you'll receive your white coat. You'll have it put on. And when you do, please remember the generous alum that took the time and spent the money to give you, a stranger, this gift and their thoughts for you. And please extend to them a thank you. Their address should be in your box. From now on, every time you put on your white coat or pick up the stethoscope, remember the great responsibility you carry and the positive impact you can have on the world.
Thank you, Dr. McGowan. My name is Donna Kern. I'm Senior Associate Dean for Medical Education here in the College of Medicine at MUSC. And it is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you the speaker for the address for Humanism in Medicine today. Dr. Terrence E. Steyer graduated from Allegheny College with a Bachelor of Science degree in mathematics and completed his medical training at Case Western Reserve University. He completed his family medicine residency training at Wake Forest University Baptist Medical Center and the Robert Wood Johnson Clinical Scholars Program at the University of Michigan. Dr. Steyer began his academic career here at MUSC, serving as the director of the Trident MUSC Transitional Year Residency and director of the medical school course on evidence-based medicine. And I want to reassure the first-year students coming in, evidence-based medicine is a really, really important topic. And so that's an impressive course to teach. In 2009, he was recruited to the Medical College of Georgia, University of Georgia Medical Partnership, where he served as the founding chair of the Department of Clinical Sciences. In this role, Dr. Steyer developed and managed the third and fourth year medical school curriculum for a brand new branch campus of the Medical College of Georgia. In 2014, Dr. Steyer was recruited back to MUSC to serve as chair of the Department of Family Medicine and was named the first Gregory Chandler Endowed Chair in Family Medicine in 2015. Just 2 years later, he was named chief of the Primary Care Integrated Center for Clinical Excellence and the president of Carolina Family Care. In these important roles, Dr. Steyer has served as leader of primary care efforts across MUSC Health. In 2021, he was elected by his peers to serve as the president of MUSC Physicians. That is our faculty practice group. Effective April 1st of 2022, Dr. Steyer was appointed as interim dean of the College of Medicine. Dr. Steyer is active member of the American Academy of Family Physicians and the Society of Teachers of Family Medicine, for which he served as national president in 2009 to 2010. He's also an active researcher in the area of health policy and leadership development for healthcare professionals. His current work includes research on the evolution of primary care medicine. And when Dr. Steyer is not busy fulfilling all of these important roles, he can be found spending time with his family, his wife and 2 sons. Please welcome Dr. Terry Steyer to the podium to give our Humanism in Medicine address.
Thank you, Donna, for that introduction. I think I took 2 minutes off my speech now. Don't want to keep you here too long, but thank you so much, Donna. And I want to really ask you to please thank our members of our Dean's Office, our Assistant Associate Deans, our esteemed chairs and clinical faculty who took time out of the weekend here to welcome you to the profession of medicine. So can we thank all of them for their time? So I got the chance the other morning to say a welcome to the class of 2026, and so today I get to welcome your family and loved ones to be part of the MUSC family. I say that on purpose, not just because I'm a family doc and I think about everything through the lens of families, but I say that because that's what MUSC really is. We are a family of people who work together to serve and meet the healthcare needs for the citizens of South Carolina. And so you, all of you, by default, are now part of the MUSC family. This is a unique and vibrant class of students that we are enjoying getting to know. I could bore you with their details of their GPA and MCATs, but that's not the real excitement there. We have 180 members. They were selected from over 4,000 applicants. We did virtual interviews again this year thanks to COVID, which meant people interviewed from around the world, including France and South Korea. For the first time, I think we hit a landmark that other schools have hit previously, in that 60% of our entering class are women. 87% of the class calls South Carolina their home, and 10 students out of the 180 have chosen to join Dr. Peter Carrick and his faculty at Anderson Medical Center for their third and fourth year efforts in primary care. So we're welcome to welcome those 10 as well. You come from a range of colleges. No football jokes here, but Clemson beats USC by 1 point this time, 37-36. The next three most common universities are Furman University, UNC Chapel Hill, and College of Charleston. 19 of our students are first-generation college students. And that's an impressive mark to think that they were the first ones to go to college and now they're in medical school. The majority majored in natural sciences, but we have at least one music major. I know of a couple political science and international affairs major, and even one who majored in theater. We have one Navy veteran, one active member of the Army National Guard, a former semi-pro soccer player from Spain, 2 Eagle Scouts, and 1 veterinarian. I can't think of a much more dynamic, diverse class to have, and we're excited to welcome you. So what does it mean to be part of the MUSC family? We're the oldest medical school in the South, founded in 1824. So if you do the math real quick, you're going to figure out that you'll be second-year medical students, probably studying for step 1 of the boards, as we celebrate our bicentennial. That does not mean that you're the 202nd graduating class, however. You'll actually be the 197th graduating class. Believe it or not, in 1824, when medical school first started, it took a year to get our first people graduated. And then for 4 years, the Medical College of South Carolina was shut down due to the Civil War. Abraham Flexner in 1910, as the school was just getting back on its feet, wrote a famous report about how to change medical education in the country, and his recommendation for MUSC was to shut it down. South Carolina was not a significant enough state to have its own medical school. We persevered, we grew from that, and here we are today celebrating one of our largest classes at MUSC. So why do we have a white coat ceremony? What's the purpose of this? Well, interesting to know, I'll go back in some history as well. I'm not going to go back as far as Aristotle, but I'll go back a little bit earlier than that. But prior to the late 19th and early 20th century, physicians wore black. Yes, black, the color of death. Black formal, like the tuxedo and little black dresses people often say they have to have in their closet. And that sort of made sense, because oftentimes going to a doctor back then was really the last thing you would do before you would die. Physicians said they wanted to wear that because it hid the blood and other products that they were used to correct the humors of the body. Yes, bloodletting and leaching were actively taught at MUSC in those days. Joseph Lister then came up with the thoughts of germ theory in Great Britain in the mid-1800s. And the Civil War, if it taught us anything, it taught us that germs played a significant role in healthcare. In fact, over 60% of all deaths were from infections. Again, there's a little bit of good news in that the trauma surgical book that most trauma surgeons used during the Civil War was written by the dean of the medical school of South Carolina. But really, to understand the difference in this and the stark difference, we really need to look at the humanities, and that's why we talk here about humanities needing to be an important part of medical education. Thomas Eakins was a famous painter in Philadelphia and was given great access to the schools at UPenn and Thomas Jefferson University. And in 1875, he did a painting that's very famous called The Gross Clinic that now hangs in the Philadelphia Art Museum. And if you look at that closely, there was a group of doctors in an operating arena treating a bone infection, and they were all wearing black. If you fast forward just a few years, in 1889, so 14 years later, one of his second paintings, that's the Agnew Clinic, that was commissioned by the University of Pennsylvania and still hangs in their hallway, shows one of the first mastectomies ever performed in the United States. If you look at that one closely, the doctors and nurses and the people operating on the patient are wearing white, and you can see blood and other issues on their coats. The students watching them are all dressed in more formal attire, including some in tuxedos. I'm not telling anyone they have to wear tuxedos to class on Monday, but they did that in those days. And then the white coats were again emphasized by Flexner, and the white coat became a new symbol for the profession. So we've been wearing white coats now for over 100 years. But why a white coat ceremony? What's the importance of this? So I'm going to introduce you to another individual that has some ties to MUSC, and that was a gentleman by the name of Dr. Arthur Gold. Many of you may have heard of the Gold Humanism Honor Society, which many of you will be inducted into as third and fourth year students, recognizing the humanistic care that you provide to patients over the course of your time as a medical student. But Dr. Gold was tired of students and residents using technology and losing touch with what a patient was. And he lost it one day when someone said, "We need to go see the brain tumor in room 3 whatever." That made him very angry, and he said, "We need to do better than that." In fact, he said, "You're only half a physician if you're just good at your craft. Unless you couple it with patient-centered care and humanism, it's suboptimal care." And that's why we talk about humanism. Now, how does Dr. Gold connect with MUSC? Well, Alfred Sabin was his mentor in medical school at the University of Cincinnati. Alfred Sabin was a research emeritus faculty member at MUSC back in the late 70s and early 80s, so lots of connections. We will tell you over and over again, medicine's a small world. Don't ever forget that. It is a small world. So your white coat that you're getting today, what does that mean? It comes with prestige and responsibility. Some students have commented about how short their white coats are. And yes, they are shorter than the residents and attendings with whom you will be working. But this is similar to the academic hoods that we get when you graduate from different levels of degrees. The bachelor hoods are shorter than the master's and are also shorter than doctoral hoods. But this indicates to everyone in the arena that you're a student. So when you're walking around the hospital, no one's going to mistake you for being an attending physician. This gives you some advantages. And one of the advantages it gives you is you can say it's okay to say, "I don't know, but I'm going to go find out." It does not give you the advantage to say, "I'm just a student." That's not a phrase I ever want to hear come out of any medical student's mouth. You are not just a student. As a student, you are a vital part of our healthcare team. And so you need to remember that that is your role and that you play a big role in the treatment and care of patients. Now, most students experience excitement, nervousness, just a little trepidation the first few times you put that white coat on. I know I did. I still get it some days, like this morning. So how can we help with that? And so often people use a mantra, a word that you can use over and over again as a way to concentrate and meditate, to gain confidence and calm your nerves. So I have a mantra for you today, but I can't just give you a mantra. I also need to give you a mnemonic. Now, mnemonic are devices you've probably used in college before to remember things. It's a short word that stands for lots of letters, and I promise you that you will learn many mnemonics in medical school, most of them in the anatomy lab, and most of them not repeatable outside of with other medical students. But today, I want to teach you one of your first mnemonics that I hope will become your mantra as you put that white coat on the first few times. And that mnemonic is FEATS, F-E-A-T-S. Now, feats is defined by the Oxford Dictionary as achievements that require great courage, skill, or strength. Each of you will accomplish many feats over the next 4 years, and they will all require courage, skill, and strength to accomplish. You will all pass the SUSMLE, and we won't have to talk about that ever again. You all will have that first time you're dealing with that first real patient. You'll all have a patient you have to share bad news with. You'll also have patients that will pass away. Those are all feats to get through as you move forward in this journey. So what's the mnemonic? Why feats? Why does that matter? F stands for faith. Faith is something you use every day. I had faith this morning that I went out and when I turned the key in my car, it would turn on. So first of all, you need to have faith in yourself. You are here. You do not need to prove yourself to anyone that you belong here. We know you belong here, and you need to have that faith in yourself. As I told you on Wednesday, have faith in the process. You have hundreds of years of experience in medical education on this stage. We know how to do this, and if you have faith in us, we will get you through. I would also argue that it helps to have faith in a higher being, someone, a belief in a power that's greater than oneself. For many of us, that's a religious faith. For others, it may not be. But to understand that sometimes things just are out of your control helps you get through that day just a little bit better. E is for empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, and you'll learn a lot about that from Dr. Brown and his colleagues in Fundamentals of Patient Care. Society of General Internal Medicine defines clinical empathy as the act of correctly acknowledging the emotional state of another without experiencing the state oneself. I'll admit to you, I fail at being empathetic some days. Some days I'm not empathetic at all. And I think COVID has made me that way at times. And I've learned to settle down and find those feelings in myself again to get where I need to be, because the patient doesn't need to deal with those issues. And sometimes I cross the line the other direction and do experience the state that someone else is feeling. I remember vividly the first time I did this. I was a third-year medical student. I was assigned to the peds hem-onc ward, and a 4-year-old boy that I took care of had liver cancer that had metastasized, and we had to anesthetize him often to get lumbar punctures, and he freaked out unless Dr. T, me, was at the bedside when he came out of anesthesia. So I developed a really strong bond with his family and with that patient. His mom called me one morning when I was a 4th-year medical student and asked me to come see him because she didn't think he had much time left. And I held the hand as this small child passed away. Yes, I cried. Yes, I crossed the boundary of clinical empathy into sympathy. But that was an experience that made me the physician that I am today. You will all have that experience, and I'm telling you now that it's okay. A is for action. You need to take action as a medical student to learn and to discover. Many of you will need to take action to get into the resources, learn about basic sciences. Others will need to do that when it comes to patient conditions. Others, pharmacology. Some of you will be in the research lab needing to take action and having an idea that maybe this will work. The National Institute of General Medical Sciences says that curiosity creates cures. I want you all to take action on your curiosity to help us find new cures. Also remember that you are responsible for your actions. From this day forward, any action you take wearing that white coat, you will be held responsible for that. That's not to scare anybody. It's to also make you remember that you're part of a team. And sometimes the most responsible ability you can take for your action is to take the advice of a great nurse or a nurse tech or a pharmacist who is going to save your butt. And be responsible for that. You can also take action for your patients by becoming an activist and advocating for your patient needs. Sometimes that's with families, when patients want to do things families don't want them to do. Too many times in my days, it's with insurance companies, asking them to do something for a patient. But it can also be in the area of legislation. You are all too young to remember when people used to smoke on airplanes. Probably people in the audience aren't too young to remember that. But it was a group of medical students who took action and got smoking on airplanes banned by the federal government. You have power. And if you take action to advocate, you can do those kind of things. T is for trust. Trust yourself. You got here. You know what to do. Have trust in yourself. Trust your loved ones. Your family and friends sitting with you here today will be with you throughout your medical journey. And to the loved ones, trust your students. They don't mean to be rude sometimes when they cut you off on the phone, or they don't text you, or when you invite them out for Sunday dinner and they say they're too busy to come. If they tell you that, trust that they probably are. Trust your classmates. Support each other. You're all in this journey together. Trust your teachers. We are here, and we want you to trust us as we teach you or ask you to do things or read this article. It's because we know that it will help you become a better physician. And finally, trust your patients even when you feel like you can't. You will all have the experience, and I guarantee all of you in this room will have the experience where you'll stand in the room and you'll ask a patient all these questions. Are you allergic to medication? Are you sure you're not allergic to any medication? Are you positive you're not allergic to any medication? And you'll come out and you'll present to the attending, and we'll go back in and say, well, maybe we should start you on some penicillin. And they go, oh, I'm allergic to penicillin. I am allergic to penicillin. It's not that the patient was trying to be deceitful to you on purpose. You probably jogged their memory in the 5 or 10 minutes you were waiting for the attending to come in the room. It happens with allergies, but it happens with things even more mundane like constipation and diarrhea. But they aren't trying to deceive you on purpose. Finally, S is for service. Serve yourself, and I mean that in a positive way. Self-care is often neglected, but perhaps the most important thing you can do, because you can't serve others if you're not taking care of yourself. So figure out what that means to you. For some people, it means they need to get to the gym 5 times a week. For some people, it means they need to walk their dog more often. For some people, it means they need to take every Friday evening and watch a movie with their partner. For one of my students, it was that he needed to continue to be an organ director and choir director at his local church. And I told him, I'm not sure you're going to have time to be a musical director at your church. He said, Dr. Steyer, this is what gets me through. I need to do this. And I said, well, I'm here to support you and I'll help you. About a year later, his wife suffered a near-fatal car accident. It was the church that got him through. And so he said, you see, Dr. Steyer, I knew I was doing the right thing by serving them. I said, you were right. Serve your patients. Serve your patients. That's what you're here for. We're here to serve the citizens of South Carolina. And serve your communities. There are people who can't get to health care. And with the great work that we do through Dr. Anita Ramzetti and our Office of Community Engagement, you can go out and reach and serve and engage our communities in ways that nobody else can. So FEATS is a mnemonic and a mantra you can use to remember what is important for you as a medical student, as a person, and as a physician. So if you're wondering, like I was yesterday about this time, how do I put it all together? You're part of the MUSC family. MUSC is a historical institution. FEATS is a mnemonic. And it goes back to the history of MUSC. MUSC's motto in Latin, which I've been told is a dead language, so I'll probably pronounce it completely wrong, is aget largiendo. Freely translated, it means she, the university, enriches by giving generously. The university will give generously to you as a student if you accept our resources and avail yourself to all we give you over the next 4 years. You will give generously to your patients, if you practice with faith, empathy, action, trust, and service. And your community will give back graciously through modeling of your actions. Congratulations, and welcome to the MUSC family. I look forward to being a part of the amazing feats that you will each accomplish over the next 4 years.
I'm Brandon Brown, Assistant Dean for Clinical Integration, and have the privilege to begin the presentation of the White Cloak for the class of 2026. I'd ask when the future physician's name is called that they would please stand with the individual they've chosen to place on their white coat. Once you successfully place the white coat on, I'd ask you to return to your seat. Connor Anderson. Kevin Arango. Adam Arar. Noah Ashley. Luke Badger. Emma Banks. Tiffany Bell. Christopher Vila. Samantha Bender. Michelle Bloyd. Zachary Booker. John Bowman. Gwyneth Bradley. Benjamin Brandeis. Luke Broughton. Maria Bacailo. Sydney Carmaine. Gabriella Carrara. Jillian Catalano. Anna Grace Chang. Uriah Chapman. Andrea Chow. Hollis Chalura. Hannah Chitty. Catherine Counts. Kel Cummings. Chandler Curtis. Taylor DeGroff. Kara Devine. Elise DeForest. Kylie Duckworth. Maya Duffy. Zachary DeZio. Jonathan Ernesi. Maya Nicole Elhodge. Adam Ingesser. Claire Essex. Caroline Everett. Wen Xing Fan. Hannah Farmer. Savannah Faulkner. Jesse Fernandez Reyes. Sean Fitzgerald. Isabel Fowler. Kristen Gambardella. Nahom Gabriel Celestier. Kelsey Glover. Samantha Golden. Jason Graham. Vidyagare Gudavada. Danya Haylat. Carly Hall. Philip Height. Mariah Heifetz. John Helmy. Lauren Holtzlander. Emily Hauk. Mahalia Huba. Hallman Hughes. Evan Holst. Brandon Honeycutt. Ann Jinks. C. Johnson. Suraj Katragada. Ruka Kelkar. Catherine Keller. Joaquin Kennedy. Joshua Kim. Kathleen Klingsing. Pruvi Kodalali. Anna Kulangara. Faisal Lashab. Melissa Lamique. Therese Larson. Brianna Antoinette Lewis. Brianna Nicole Lewis. Austin Lewis. Brian Linder. Kelly Litz. Connor Malark.
Maxwell Marshall. Kayla Martin. Abigail Martin. John Martin. Stephanie Maslin. Aliza Masood. Michael Matthews. Hannah McCoy. Addison McFarland. Carson McCoon. Brendan McNeil. Tatiande Medina Nieto. Subham Mehta. Jessica Mang. Brendan Middleton. Anjali Mohan. John Moore. Noah Nawabi. Catherine Nelson. Frank Nichols. Zari O'Connor. Johnny Owen. Simran Kaur Paintlia. Vivek Pandey. Sariu Parise. Sierra Patterson. Robert Peacock. Ronan Fukan. Priyanka Rao. Nikhil Rao. Erin Reasoner. John Redhead. Sarah Reinecke. Alex Rendon Hungitud. Sloan Rhodes. James Richardson. Carter Richardson. Joshua Rivers. Paris Rizzo. Mary Rogers. Henry Ross. Tavares Rowe. Lily Rumpf. Henry Sam. Rachel Sanner. Sydney Satchel. Benjamin Savitz. Megan Sharner. Angela Schmuggy. Virginia Scott. Kaven Shaw. William Shelton. Nagum Darshan Sheath. Marcus Stallings. Carol Stigora. Jennifer Stepp. Sarah Stevens. Samuel Stewart. Noah Steyer. Mary Sullivan. Sarah Thomas. Matthew Thomas. Michaela Tiller. Alexis Tomlin. Abasiyama Udimi. Alexandria von Wiese und Kaiserwaldau Simpson. Jenna Vroman. Daniel Vu. Benjamin Walsh. Dara Watts. Bailey Will. Kristen Wills. Florrie Wilson. Elena Wilson. Margaret Winters. Deasia Witherspoon. Ariel Worley. Sydney Worrell. Julia Yerger. Brian Yu. Julia Simlich.
Ethan Barkley. Abby Bowman. Marissa Jensen. Corey Mealer. Laura Mitchell. Ethan Mitchell. Maria Malaso. Abigail Morgan. Molly Morgan. Alina Smolova.
Can I have all the members of the class of 26 please stand? Let's recognize them one more time. Okay, I'm going to have you stay standing. Although this next section is called the Medical Student Oath, there's an opportunity for the faculty and the students to speak, so I'm going to ask my fellow faculty to stand as well. And then please follow along in your programs for your specific part. We pledge to serve our patients, their families, our community, and each other with respect, competence, compassion, and humility. We hold as our ideal the care and treatment of all of our patients. From them, we will learn. We hold as our ideal the advancement of knowledge. Through it, disease will be understood, prevented, and cured. We hold as our ideal open-minded collaboration. To this, we are collectively committed. We hold as our ideal critical self-evaluation. Through this, we will grow. We, your faculty, promise to serve as worthy role models, as our own teachers have before us. We promise to support your personal and professional growth in the clinic, in the laboratory, in the community, and in your own teaching. We promise to maintain an environment where scientific integrity and ethical standards sustain your trust in us. We honor the Medical University of South Carolina College of Medicine history of its service to the people of our nation in South Carolina. We embrace its rich tradition of teaching and research excellence. We accept the challenges and opportunities of those alumni whom we follow. We solemnly pledge our commitment to this oath and our assistance to others who pledge the same. This time I'd ask everyone to stand for the benediction.
O Lord God, the great physician and healer of our souls and bodies, we ask that you bless the future physicians here as they embark on their careers in medicine and their families and friends. We pray that you guide them and instruct them to be true vehicles of healing, of mind, body, and spirit, not concerned with their own gains or well-being, but with the selfless well-being of others. With this, O God, Lord, in holy name, amen. Please be seated.